In the SEC, number 1 Tennessee in the freshly minted college football rankings that just came out this week. At number 3, Georgia. Despite the rankings, Georgia, 8-point home favorite. This one, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on CBS. A total of 66 in this game. I know you love digging into this one. It's the game of the week. Huge implications here, both in the SEC and also for the national championship. What have you unearthed?
Well, injuries are really hard. Injury reports are really hard to come by, but Georgia has one that is massive. Linebacker Nolan Smith, All-American candidate, he's done for the year. They're not going to have him. The market didn't really react to that. I think that's a bigger deal. He was the voice of the defense. He's a terrific player, preseason All-American, all SEC, all everything. He's done for the season. He will not play in this game. Jalen Carter, also otherworldly. He's missed a lot of this year. He hasn't played a lot, but Jalen Carter still, he was projected to be a top 5 NFL draft pick. He got limited reps in practice this week, but he's probably not playing at 100%. And he did play a little bit last week where he did really well. He tore up Florida. But again, limited reps. I'm interested to see if he's on the snap count this week again. But just know the top 2 defensive players for Georgia are either not playing or on a limited snap count. Just pay attention to that. The Georgia offense, way more balanced this year than they were last year. They're actually a very, very efficient passing team. They're 5th in success rate overall through the air. But Georgia also hasn't played a team with a pace of play like Tennessee has. And, they probably won't have a kind of slow start. But if they have the start that they had against Missouri or Kent State, they're done. They're going to lose, and they're going to lose by a lot. So they can't have a slow start here. I don't think that they will. But just kind of for live betting, if that line doesn't react early on to Tennessee scoring 1 or 2 quick gimmies, I would jump on Tennessee quick, just as a note. We know what Tennessee brings to the table on offense. They're top 6, top 5 in everything. Hendon Hooker, currently the odds-on Heisman favorite. If he wins this game, he is going to be a very long favorite, and it's going to be his trophy to lose. So keep that in mind if you're thinking, if Tennessee wins and Hendon Hooker gets too big a favor, maybe I'll bet CJ Stroud. No, don't do that. It's about the voters. It's not about the players. And the voters are going to vote for Hendon Hooker if he wins this game, or honestly, if he's even really all that competitive. So Tennessee's run defense, we all know it's extremely good. We've seen it happen. They shut down teams regularly, and they're getting a lot better against a pass. Against Alabama, they were a liability. Early in the year, they were a liability, but they made Will Levis look pedestrian. It looked like one of us stepped out there and tried to play quarterback for the Cats. He had a 21.6% success rate, negative 1.9 air yards per attempt, and 3 interceptions last week.
Yikes.
That was an ass kicking. Something I actually did not see coming, but they destroyed Will Levis. They got a lot of pressure on him. And Stetson Bennett, he's a little bit more Will Levis than he is Bryce Young. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying he's going to have that kind of day, especially since Georgia has much better pass catchers than Kentucky does, and they should be able to move the ball through the air a little bit better than Kentucky does. But just keep in mind, Tennessee's run or pass defense is getting a little bit better, and they're getting some pressure on the quarterback. Just a note there. I do not have a pregame bet on this one. The aggregate power ratings like Georgia by 7.8. I'm going to have to bump that up a few tenths of a point because you have to give a bigger home field advantage bump to Georgia in this game. This isn't your average one. This isn't Colorado. Well, Colorado probably have a below average, but you know what I'm saying. It's not an Oregon State. This is going to be one of the most juiced environments of the year. You have to give the bump to Georgia. Just keep that in mind. Again, I'm probably not putting in a pregame bet. I kind of just want to sit back and enjoy this one. But again, don't be afraid to bet Tennessee if they jump out to an early lead because they're not going to look back. Georgia probably won't be able to claw back if they get down big. So if you see Tennessee get out there, hit a couple quick ones, and that line doesn't react all that quickly, I would jump on Tennessee live.
Before we move on, I just want to talk about the Heisman market here since you brought it up, because I think it is interesting that the favorite Hooker is an 8-point dog this week. And we know how important winning games is to the Heisman equation. Now, if you have a season like Lamar Jackson where he's just off this planet with his statistics, it can happen. But I think it's at least interesting that Hooker is the favorite, but is an 8-point dog this week. So do you think he's vulnerable? And if things go as projected here, is it worth taking a shot on a CJ Stroud at 2-1 or one of these long shots if Tennessee loses this game as the market expects.
I probably wouldn't take the shot on CJ Stroud just because the voters like two things. They like new things and they like resurgent SEC powers. We've seen it with LSU, Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow torched his way to like absolutely deserving. But, Devonta Smith was new. He wasn't a quarterback. And even though CJ Stroud didn't win last year, he still was a finalist, and there might be some voter fatigue with that. They might be like, wow, Hendon Hooker, what a story he is. 5th year in college football, transferred from Virginia Tech after not being very good there. Lit it up last year, got our attention. All of a sudden, he leads the Vols to a number 1 rate. And honestly, if anything besides him getting shut down and blown out by Georgia happens, I think he's going to maintain that favorite status. And again, when betting the Heisman, you can't bet who you think the top player is. You have to bet how you think voters are going to vote. If I had a vote, right now it'd probably be Hendon Hooker, but it'd probably change Saturday if he doesn't play all that well. I don't think it's going to change for voters. I think they're pretty locked in on Hooker. You hear it on, as much as I don't love listening to TV analysts, in the Heisman market, you kind of have to, because those are the voters, and that's the voice of the general sentiment. You have to see on Twitter what the voters are saying, and they're all saying, oh, Hendon Hooker is now the favorite. Well, he's been the favorite in the betting market. We know that, but that's not what sets the Heisman. It's these voters. So you have to listen in on what they're saying. There's a whole lot more talk about Hendon Hooker than there is about CJ Stroud. That's the only reason I probably wouldn't put a bet in on CJ Stroud at this point.